So the kids don't understand that what it really means. They only know that, hey, this means I'm tough and this is cool,
Right.
and let's stud it.
Right, yeah.
Let's make it pretty. You can't
Right.
make death pretty. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you know. So that's just one symbol, okay? It's used also for a symbol for toxic waste,
Yes, it is.
okay?
Yeah.
Poison. In the ancient times, they used to actually have it on medicine bottles. See? So
Wow.
when you talk about the potency of a symbol, I'm using the most powerful symbol I could think of that shows you that's the darker side of a symbol. Now we have, say, the symbol of the dove. That symbol goes back in history. It is what a lot of people may not know about the symbol of the dove is that it represents the divine feminine, feminine sexuality and prophecy, and it's known as the bird of peace and the messenger. And we've all seen it used. I mean, in a lot of churches, you know, the minister will have it on his shawl. You'll see it in many times, especially in the Catholic Church. A lot of times around Christmas time, that symbol is everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere. It's very, very sweet.
Or if you're getting married, they'll usually
Absolutely.
release the doves.
And so,
Yeah.
you know, if I was in a reading and I saw the dove show up, in order to understand its meaning, I would say to Spirit, show me another symbol
To
so
go
that I
along.
really understand. So another image, another image.
So it tells a story, if you will, right? Is that what
Oh,
you're saying?
yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. I
Wow.
could tell you so many stories of the images that rolled out like a movie.
So when Spirit speaks to you specifically when you're in a session, will they give you like one symbol and then another one will appear? Or do you kind of get them like all at once and then you interpret the story itself?
Well, you know, it happens very, very fast. And it seems as though it opens up something in my brain. And I'm seeing it for uniquely for that person. So I don't react to everybody the same.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
And they have a unique vibration. They have a sensitivity. If they're very empathic and they don't know it, then I have to be careful that I'm not too assertive in my voice because it will hurt them. So I had a client where she came to me about some problems she was having in her marriage, and all of a sudden I saw, I heard, not saw, I saw it as I heard it, sort of like that's the click click. It was Humpty Dumpty, not Humpty Dumpty, although I've had that too. It was Jack and Jill go up the hill to get a pail of
The
water.
right, yeah.
Jack falls down,
Yeah.
breaks his crown, and Jill comes tumbling after. Her husband was an alcoholic. And I believe that there was some drug abuse. And she's coming to me, and all I could say to her is that they need to get in therapy, and they need to do it as soon as possible, because Spirit was saying that he was going to have a great fall, and there was going to be an injury. Now, my job is not to put anybody into a crisis or, you know, have them panicked. So I had to let Spirit find ways to use metaphoric stories in order to tell the story that was her story, and that was her story.
Wow. What a nice way of
Yes.
giving something that can be so hard to hear, you know? So
Soft.
So ultimately, Spirit speaks to us first in symbols.
Absolutely.
Even if we're aware of it or not.
Dreams.
Dreams, right. Well, some people think that they mean nothing, and some people give them
they mean
a
something.
lot of weight, you know?
Well, there are dreams that the sensory system knows that there is a message here.
Yeah.
And then there are dreams where we're so stressed that the body is basically trying to remove that off of our nervous system.
Yeah.
But dreams are is the first primal reaction that we have to the language of symbols and archetypes.
Yeah, that reminds me of a friend of mine that came to see you as a client, and she told you about a dream, because she told me the same dream, and she told me about the dream about she was going through this orchard and she had apples, and you told her you need to go check to see if you're pregnant, and she was pregnant, you were right. That was a symbol for her that was coming through her dream. She had no idea about it.
I have a story that you haven't heard, and I think the audience will really enjoy this. There was a gentleman that's a friend of the family, and he was curious about symbolism and all of that. He actually has an intuitive ability that he didn't know about it. And I said to him, you're intuitive. And he said, okay. And so we started talking, and I gave him a little bit of an understanding of what was really going on in his life. And I said, you're going to have a confirmation within the next 24 hours of what it is that I've told you, and it will be a very powerful confirmation. Well, on the way home, he had to drive through the countryside, and a hawk, he had his window down, and a hawk was right outside of his window and stayed there for 3 to 4 miles.
Wow.
And he said he was traveling about 50 miles an hour. And he looked out the door, he said, Badeish, I could have touched it.
Wow.
And I said, no, it touched you. Because hawk means to look very carefully at what is going on in your life, because they can see from great distance.
That makes sense.
They're just amazing. Like the eagle, they have an incredible eyesight and instincts. And what was going on in this gentleman's life is that he had made some bad investments. And the hawk was saying, you need to look into what it is that you're investing your money into. And then I guess it was about a year or so later, he calls me up again. And he says, I got a bat in my house. And I said, you've got a bat in your house? And he said, yes. He said, I've been fighting this bat for hours to get it out of my house, and I don't know how it got in my house. And I started to laugh, because you can only imagine how funny it is to see this bachelor running around with a net trying to catch a bat. And he finally, after a couple hours, got it into a bedroom and closed the door, opened the window, and it flew out. So he calls me and he says, what is that mean? Well, he was having some problems in a relationship, a long relationship, and he didn't really want to let it go. See, a bat will hang upside down, and this was not making a commitment. The bat hangs upside down and basically hangs there, and this is a long relationship, and so she was not really wanting to make a full commitment for marriage. And so when this came into his life, there was a lot of emotions that he had not completely communicated. And the bat was telling him, it's time for you to have a real conversation about this relationship, and you may have to let it go.
Wow. So spirit manifested a bat and put it right in his house. I mean, wow. Talk about, like, here is your message.
Well, I've had a dragonfly fly around, and it was a warning. And it was about someone that was trying to associate with me. And this dragonfly was beautiful, flying around, and then went plop, and it hit the ground so hard, and it was dead. And I went, oh my God, because dragonfly means illusion. Illusion.
So someone in your life was
an illusion.
An
they were
illusion.
A facade.
What was the purpose
of
the
truth.
Dragonfly having to die?
Well, that's what's called a shamanistic experience when nature takes care of me in all kinds of ways. I could tell you story after story of shamanistic intervention of spirit where I was being told something or protected or guided, So, yeah, when something unusual happens with an animal, for instance, if you have a coyote or a wolf show up in front of your car, you need to pay attention. That might be something average that happens in Montana, but it certainly isn't average in the suburbs here. But when they show up, you need to be paying attention. And if you don't understand what the totem is, then go and buy a book called Animal Speaks. And it's got all of the psychological breakdown of what it means.
So,
and you learn the language, see? You learn that language.